This makes Benghazi look like a much smaller issue. House Republicans vow to probe Biden's Afghanistan exit if they win in 2022. Amid scenes of a chaotic and rushed evacuation from Afghanistan, multiple House Republicans are vowing to launch congressional investigations into the Biden administration's botched withdrawal if they win back the chamber next year, with some specifically calling for an Afghanistan Select Committee. Many of Biden's harshest GOP critics had scant criticism for former President Donald Trump's deal with the Taliban, which would have seen an even more rapid timeline for withdrawal. Nevertheless, some have started reviving attacks on President Joe Biden's mental capacity and questioning his fitness to serve as the commander-in-chief, with some even calling for Biden to be impeached or to resign over the Afghanistan debacle. After the disastrous events in Afghanistan, we must confront a serious question: is Joe Biden capable of discharging the duties of his office, or has time come to exercise the provisions of the 25th Amendment? Tweeted Florida Republican Sen. Rick Scott, who chairs the campaign arm for the Senate GOP. GOP lawmakers, however, insist it's not about politics. They say it's about getting to the bottom of Biden's decision-making, which they warn could have long-lasting reverberations for the homeland and all around the world. "We need to get to the bottom of what happened and how it happened," said Rep. Michael Waltz, a Florida Republican and Green Beret who sits on the Armed Services Committee. Glimmer of bipartisanship in the Senate. In the Senate, there is a slightly different tone coming from some key Republicans, with flickers of bipartisanship so far. Calls for action are coming from both sides of the aisle, with a group of more than 50 lawmakers sending a letter to the Biden administration Thursday urging expedited processing of special immigrant visas for Afghans, even as some on the far right have begun waging nativist attacks against refugees and questioning the merits of extracting vulnerable Afghans from the country.
What we need to focus on right now is the SIV effort and how we get Americans safely out of the country, Ernst said. I have members of the military and former members of the military texting me directly asking for assistance with their interpreters. We need to have a process. I do think there is a bipartisan desire to make sure that human rights are being respected in Afghanistan. Now, of course, I cannot imagine my Democratic colleagues will be overly critical about the administration, but I can tell you they are very upset by what they see, Ernst said. I do think there is potentially a shelf life here, especially as we roll into an election. One Republican on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Rep. Peter Meyer of Michigan, agreed that investigations into the intelligence and security failures would likely need to come later. House subpoena power. In the House, though, tensions between the two parties reached an all-time high in the wake of the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, and that could trickle into the debate over Afghanistan. After Speaker Nancy Pelosi rejected two of House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy's picks for a select committee to investigate the deadly riot, the California Republican yanked all his selections from the panel and accused Democrats of trying to use the probe to damage Trump's political prospects. Is it too soon for us to start discussing an Afghanistan Select Committee to investigate exactly what happened and when? Tweeted Rep. Claudia Tenney, a Republican who represents a swing district in New York. I'd like to hear from the Americans that were on the ground about their experiences and get the questions answered about how this went so wrong, so fast. More than a few are wondering about his competency. Republicans will be looking to investigate every aspect of how this withdrawal was botched and who is ultimately responsible, said Banks, who serves on the Armed Services Committee. What did Joe Biden know and when did he know it? Tweeted controversial Rep.
Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia. Hashtag impeach Biden. Even Republicans who haven't gone that far think Biden has dinged his political capital. It's going to make it very, very difficult for any domestic or certainly foreign policy agenda that he may have to be successful. And of course, from our perspective, I think that's a good thing for America, said Johnson, the Louisiana Republican. But certainly I think it has been a significant moment in his presidency, and I don't think he'll recover from it.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.